Welcome to the Financial Planners Southeast Asia podcast, a show dedicated to driving the positive evolution of financial advice, specifically within Southeast Asia. To join a global community of financial advisors sharing and learning with one another to drive the positive evolution of financial advice, head to xyadvisor.com. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Financial Planners Southeast Asia podcast. Gwen here, and today I am with Kristoffer Jun, or Sir Toffee, Yurong. He is a senior unit manager at AXA Philippines and a 2022 GAMA Global FLA Bronze awardee. So thank you so much for being in the podcast today, Sir Toffee.
Hi, Gwen. Good afternoon. Yeah, it's the afternoon right now, and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everybody who's listening to this podcast. How are you?
Right. Yeah. Well, for me, I'm doing great, and thanks for asking. Well, actually, Sir Toffee, just to break the ice, I just wanted to ask, why Toffee? If you don't mind me
Yeah,
asking.
basically, actually, my high school friends coined that nickname of mine because of my name, Kristoffer. And I used to be very dark. My skin color used to be very dark during that time, when you're adolescent, in puberty stage. So they would usually always tell me that I'd look and sound like the chocolate toffee lock. So I just, got to carry it over until today with that nickname.
That's so interesting. But I think it's fine because we're Filipinos.
Oh, yeah.
We're meant to be morenos and morenas.
Yes,
So
true.
yeah, I was just very curious how you. I mean, I see it in your name. It's in the Topher.
Yeah,
But I was
Kristoffer.
just
Yeah.
curious why you that like it stuck.
I
So
actually like it. My nickname.
yes,
Yeah.
it stands out. Like it lets you stand out whenever like I see people's posts.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
because of your name, yeah, it stands out. So I guess my first question with regards to the podcast is because I want our listeners to know more about you. Like, how many years have you been in this industry, in the financial advice industry?
In the financial services and insurance industry, I've been with the industry since to end of 2015. So that's 7 years. Wow. Almost a decade.
Wow. Yes. A few more years to go.
Yeah, I actually just realized that it's been that long. Time flies so fast. So I just,
Yes.
you don't really notice time until you just realize that you've been there for like that long.
Yeah. Oh, time flies fast when you're having fun. I
True to
believe that.
True to that.
Yes. No, and why did you get into the advice industry in the first place?
That's the funny and surprising part at that time because, for one, I am actually an engineering graduate. I'm an engineer by profession. So I've worked in a telecommunications company for 8 years. And then when you just become fed up with things because after I was still in school. I was on my last term in university. I was already working, and then I didn't have that opportunity or the chance to take a break. So it took from that time on, and then 8 years after, it was all work. So then suddenly I just realized I really wanted to just like step out of my whole boring life and just figure things out. So I was based in Manila. So when I resigned from that work after 8 years, and then I came back here to Cebu. I planned to take a breather for about a year, and then my financial advisor, because I have a policy from my company, noticed that I've been slacking off here in Cebu for a few months already. So
Yeah.
he tried to call me and saying, what have I been doing? I said I'm still taking a vacation, trying to figure things out with my life and stuff. So I didn't have any plans. So he invited me for an orientation, and then I said, okay, I can do this because this is just. I mean, I'm not trying to do this as an employment or something. So while
Yeah.
I'm starting to get bored also, so I can do anything. So I tried to join the trainings,
Yeah.
and then I started to like the subjects and the topics in the trainings because it's all about financial planning. So it's
Yeah.
something new to me. So slowly I come to appreciate it. And then the next thing I know, I already took the licensure exams and passed it. But at the back of my mind, I'm still like, okay, this will just be for just to make to do things in a day. So I'll just want to take it on a day-to-day basis. And then suddenly on my first month, I was able to sell 3 insurance policies, and I was like, maybe I can do this actually. By the way, I did not have any sales experience prior joining,
Prior
so
to
it's
that.
totally zero. But I'm the type who's really talkative, so probably that's the reason why I have been staying long with this industry, because you really need to have it's actually a skill to be really talkative.
Yes, that's true.
So I don't know what happened. 7 years after, I'm still here. So that's just it. It came as a surprise and by accident, and then I came to love it. That's why I've been here ever since.
That's actually a good story because a lot of some of the listeners that we have are the ones who are in the fence about financial advice, if it's the right career for them. And it's stories like these where you get to realize you don't actually know if it's the right fit for you until you try it, right? So why not dip into the water and see if it suits you? So that's so great. And thank you so much for sharing that to us, Sir Tofi. And how many advisors do you currently have in your team now?
I have been a unit manager from my company for running 3 years already. So I'm a bit of a pandemic unit manager. So
Yes.
ever since probably we're around 30, but not all are really active. So let's just say that in a month, I would really would have around 5 to 7 advisors who would be active in selling month on month. But in terms of like just the manpower count, I was able to reach about 35. Yes, in total.
That's a lot to manage, right? Even if there are just like 4 to 5 who are, let's say, top sellers. I'm doing air quotes, but so I guess my next question would be like, have you noticed any surge or drop in the attrition of financial advisors after the pandemic?
I wouldn't really say that this would be a definitive statistics, because we all know that the pandemic was a showstopper. So everything had to really, how do I say this, really adjust to it. And it's again, I would always say it's not definitive, but during the pandemic, I was really able to talk to people and make them realize and convince that the life insurance industry or financial advisorship can be not a savior, but can be their fallback during pandemic. So I admit to it that after the pandemic, a lot of those that I have invited to join actually got back their lives, their careers, and everything already after the pandemic. So them being being financial advisors admittedly had to take a little bit of a backseat as we go back towards the new normal. And I am cool with that, because I also understand that before the pandemic, they had that kind of life. They were just, you just had this 2 year, how to say, break or gap, and I introduced it to them. And then when they got back, of course, they really need to prioritize getting back on their feet, getting back on their finance. I would say it's like they just had their own travel revenge, work revenge, you know what I mean, going
Yes.
out revenge. So
Yes.
I understand that as well. So this is actually, for me, this year is still a recovery phase for me. That's why it's a bit, I would say, not challenging but situational for me, because I understand them. So now, those who've been producing in my team are the ones who really have been with me ever since pandemic.
All right.
So these are the ones who understood the business already. I should say, something
Yes.
like that.
I do get that, because I have seen like a lot of people, and even the advisors that I've interviewed here in the podcast, especially last year, most of them said that their business actually thrived because of a lot of their market have realized the value of an insurance. But there are also, and it helps that we can meet each other in Zoom. So those people who are very good at technology was able to pivot really quickly. But there are still financial advisors as well, especially those who really prefer the physical touch, meeting up in coffee shops. They were the ones who were struggling as well. Even people that I know who are wary of technology would still prefer getting in touch on a physical level. And I think, yeah, you're right, it's a situational thing. So but it's very interesting to hear that from a point of view of someone who's actively in the industry
Just
now.
to, sorry,
Mhm.
just to
Yep.
add, when attrition in this industry is like really above, I should say above average, and we
Hmm. Hmm.
first thing that you need to do to thrive and be successful in this industry is actually to accept that fact
Mm, yes.
that
Yes.
attrition is something that you really need to work around, not work on, but work around, because it's going to stay
Hmm.
regardless if
That's
it
true.
COVID or no COVID. It's going to stay.
Mm. That's true, because not everyone
Yes.
is actually has the calling. So as we
Actually,
mentioned earlier,
any
right?
just like any other industry, even in the BPO
Mm-hmm.
industry, attrition is like
Mm-hmm.
high. So you just have to
Mm-hmm.
live with it and work around it.
That's true. I did not find my calling in the BPO industry, but I know that a lot of my friends have.
Yeah,
Um, so, yes, it actually depends on the people. But I
yeah.
guess in terms of you now managing people, like what sets you apart as a unit manager?
It's actually I was really waiting for this question because I really don't have an answer. But basically, I think how do I set myself apart? Probably because I have accepted. I mean, I have created an image for my team. Well, a lot of the managers do that as well. But for me, I wanted to create a youthful image, and I am geared towards the retail and the masa, because before I really ventured into being a unit manager, I was a financial advisor for like 4 years,
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
half of my time in the industry. And I realized that I am the type who functions and works at my peak if I do talking to a lot of people. So
Mm-hmm.
just to put into to context, in this industry we have this like high net worth clients and we
Yes.
have retail clients. When you say
Mm-hmm.
high net worth, these are like the ones who would really buy policies by big amounts.
Yes,
And these we
yes.
have when we say retail, these are the ones who the normal premium, the normal
Mm-hmm.
monthly. So I tried selling in this group, the high net worths, but when it's when you know when it's a high network, a big policy or a big case, you really need to cook it. You really need to like, and I do
Takes
tend,
time.
yeah, it takes time, it takes years even, and I tend to be very
Yes.
impatient about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I realized na that I am at my element, at I am at my best if I do talk to as many people as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
why when I realized that I want to continue that kind of branding or that kind of culture, so
Mm-hmm.
I I opted to really invite people into my team. For those who are like that, very the energy is so high, who's really willing to go out and talk to as many people, and going retail.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you
Yes.
look into my credentials, I mean into my portfolio, a majority, like 90% of our cases are really retail.
Mm, yes. And
That's how I wanted to build a culture of fun, hyperactivity. That's why I do not have titos and titas in my team. Sorry, Ma'am Reg, I have one. That's Ma'am Reggie. But I try to manage them according to their to their strengths and their weaknesses.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
but I am most excited. I am most, like, how do I say this? I'm always prepped up if my advisor is also really very active.
Young and energetic.
Physically,
Yeah, yeah,
energetic.
yeah.
But no, Reg, I
Yes.
love you. I know you will be listening to this. My tita advisor. Yeah.
I'm sure she knows, but and I actually understand because I mentioned to you earlier before we started the recording that my husband is also a financial advisor, and he also likes, like, as much as he wants high profile cases as well, he tends to gravitate to younger people too, because he likes the energy, he likes talking to them, and yeah, that's why I can understand your sentiment
And
perfectly now.
based on the our population, and
Mhm.
when you become unit manager, you tend to read these kinds of things.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
Philippines will actually have probably 40% millennial and Gen Z population.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
I really wanted to be the first, or to be pioneer. My team wants to be pioneer in making sure that we capture that market. Probably, and
Oh.
I would like to say also that same as your husband.
Mhm.
No, the youth is the
Yes.
future.
Yes, that's true, because I noticed that when you tap into, let's say, a client, and they're young, uh, they tend to be more vocal about financial advice and financial management than in previous generations, right? So, and that's where referrals come in, and
And
that's
they
also
tend to
good
know
business.
more, and they tend to
Mm,
be
mhm,
more, they do research, so they are more
mhm, mhm,
educated. So it's a little, number one, it can be easier for you
mhm,
to justify the product, but at the same time it can
mhm,
also be challenging because you will be talking to someone who's well equipped or well
mhm,
versed with investments
mhm.
or life insurance. So yeah,
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's a double-edged sword. It
double-edged
can
sword,
go
exactly.
either way, right? And but in this case, so since your ideal client and even your ideal team member are young, energetic people, right? How do you position your value as a unit manager when looking for that ideal team member?
I tend to be like to be them.
Like
Although,
them,
although
yeah.
it's not that I tend to be them. I actually transcend like them as well.
Mm-hmm,
Let's be fair. I'm already in my late 30s, but
mm-hmm,
I'm still single. That's why I can still
mm-hmm,
do things that younger than me,
mm.
that
Can do.
people can
You can,
do.
yeah, you
Um,
can just go
yeah.
laag-laag. Oh.
Apart from laglaag, like for example, like what do younger people watch in Netflix?
Ah,
Like
yeah,
anything like that.
Korean novellas.
Korea, yeah, I do K drama as well for the business, but yeah, K drama is really good. But what I'm trying to say is, as while I still have the energy,
Mm-hmm.
let me maximize that one. So
Mm-hmm.
because I'm also thinking, when I do become 40, and then when I reach that age, I really do have to act my age as well. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually I'm in the point of my in my life na I have to prepare myself to transition to something, whatever it is that in that age. So that would
Mm-hmm.
include my clientele, my
Mm-hmm.
advisors. Because even
Mm-hmm.
just imagine if you are 45 years old and you still wanted to have advisors who are in early 20s, that would be a little bit of a challenge eventually. So
Yes.
that I'm still in the gray area with that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to prepare myself to like really
Mm-hmm.
not transform, but to really grow and
Mm-hmm.
proceed to the next level, something like that.
Yeah, grow with your group,
Yeah,
as it
true.
goes. So, and I guess that's fine, because if you have, like, a steady number of team members who grow with you, then you guys can age, air quotes, together, right?
Yes, true.
And that's good, because a lot of aspiring team members for you will be able to see that level of oneness with the ones that you currently have, right? And right now, I guess my next question would be, how do you acquire new team members to your team? Like, I know that a lot do seminars, but do you like encourage other types of activities in your team?
Actually, I have to be really honest, especially to those listeners who are really eyeing on to be part of this industry, that this is not that the financial and life insurance industry is not all at all, a better process.
Mm,
And we have to, number one, you have to really accept that fact that it's a challenging industry, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. So when you say that it's a challenging, you have to prepare yourself for that most of the time it will be, I wouldn't say failures and frustrations, but it will not go according to what you really want
mm,
to happen, or what the results with the results that you really want. Now, going back to your question, I always tell people that the only thing for us to thrive, well, not just thrive, but survive in this industry is to do activities, regardless of what, well, the activities that would lead you to, recruitment and everything.
mm,
Yes, I do a lot of orientation seminars. That should be that's basic.
mm,
But at the same time, me as a unit manager, I do a lot of prospecting.
mm,
And when you say prospecting, I really look for people. So
mm,
that's predominantly what I do, like really look. So that's my activity, look. So
mm.
how do I look? Social media is really a very good tool that can help me.
Yes.
That helps me.
Mm,
It tends to get challenging because, again, going
mm,
back, you have mentioned earlier that this is not everybody's cup of tea, and
mm,
not everybody is gifted with the talent, the skills for this.
mm, mm.
That's why, going further with attrition, I have accepted that attrition is very high, but at the same time, it does not define me, and it does not stop me,
Mhm.
because I am the type of unit manager that accepts whoever wants to whoever shares or whoever sparks interest. Okay, go. Even if you don't have a sales experience, try. And if you cannot, then I cannot force you. Then yeah, hi, say hi, hello, and goodbye. So
Mm,
it's in an everyday cycle.
mm,
But
mm,
and since it's an everyday cycle, you have to couple it with everyday activity. And activity includes finding people, convincing people, inviting people for orientations. Nothing really new. Nothing really how do you say this? Nothing really, no magic, no anything.
mm.
We all unit managers can actually do the same thing. It's just that should be the frequency. And do it every day if you can.
Yes, yes, that's true. Because it compounds later on. Anyone who you've contacted today may not take on the message today, but they will remember that and they might take up on the offer later. Now, because you're already managing financial advisors, do you still have clients of your own?
Oh yes, I still do.
Mm,
That's the good thing about my journey as a financial advisor, because everybody in my circle and my network knew that I was, before they know Toffee, they know me as a financial advisor. So
mm,
I was that all over the place for 4 5 years.
mhm.
So
Yes.
clients still come, referrals still come. I still do, like now I do try to sell because I have time, because I can manage. I mean my financial advisors can, a few of them can manage their own. They do, I just can leave them do the selling. So I have a little bit of time. That's why I do sell. I mean, it's true that you earn in this industry. I mean, your earning capacity is limitless here. You just have to work hard and work smart. That's why I do still sell, and I still have clients up to now.
Mm,
I
that's
even,
wonderful.
not just clients, complaints from other, from the clients of other advisors, from not just my company but other company, would actually message me, and I do still accommodate and entertain them,
Yes,
for
yes.
inquiries, complaints, and whatsoever. So yeah, that's life.
Oh, I understand. And I guess it's very interesting that you're able to juggle all of these as a unit manager who is in. Um, you mentioned that you have at least 30 to 35 members under your bucket. So, And I guess leading to my question, I mentioned earlier that you're a 2022 GAMA Global FLA Bronze awardee. So we talked about this a bit before we started recording. Now, that to me, when I hear that, that to me sounds like success. Now,
Yes.
so I guess my question would be like, what has contributed to that success? Obviously, you should have a great team in order to achieve that. But like, what are you doing with you and your team that has contributed to that success? Yeah.
Um, I would have to agree with you. By the way, GAMA is like it's like an international association that is
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to really promote and to how do you say this, to not just congratulate but to really make the world known that we have unit managers in the financial and life insurance industries who are thriving and who are
Mm-hmm.
exceeding and who are being excellent in their jobs as unit managers. So this is an
Mm-hmm.
international award giving body and organization at the same time. So I was my first. It's actually, this is going to be my third GAMA qualification this
Yeah,
year. I'm
amazing.
hoping.
Mm-hmm.
But my very first was like came as a surprise because although I know what GAMA was, my branch manager would always keep me, go for GAMA, go for GAMA. It when you're new to it, you just have to, okay, GAMA, whatever. And yeah, I didn't add that the matrices in order to qualify for GAMA. Didn't I did not put that in my mind, which I just work hard or something like that. So for me, the one thing that contributed to my GAMA qualification was again going back to the activity. And I've just for everybody, I'm not doing any business aside from this. I'm doing this full time. So when I started, I told myself that I should not have any options anymore. I should not have an option B,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
my option A will only be my option and my choice. So since I do not have any choices anymore, so I need to work on the remaining option that I have. So it transcended. And when I become a unit manager, the culture I created for myself and with the team before that I was with my branch director and my branch manager. So I saw the potential not just for income but for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
started to really fight for it. When you
Mm.
just to a little bit of explanation, in order for you to become gamma, you need to achieve some matrices and
Yeah.
you have to achieve some targets. I did not. I knew the targets, but I did not really focus myself on achieving it. But I was like, I just needed to work hard. I just needed to move fast and bring my team as fast as I can to wherever we want to go up.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the Gamma Award just came in as a product of that hard work. Again,
Right.
I wanted to simplify if for the unit managers or the new, especially the new unit managers who will be listening to this podcast. I wanted to simplify. There is no shortcut
Mm-hmm. Yes.
to stardom here. It's pure hard work. And pure hard work is just as simple as activity, activity, activity. What kind of activity? I leave that to you. So what activity will help you grow your team? What activity will help you grow your sales? Be creative with it. But there is no special magic thing for you to be a Gamma award. You just have to work hard. Just
Right.
like in any other aspect of your life, you want to
Yes.
succeed,
In any field.
work for
Yeah.
it. As simple
Right.
as that. Yes.
That's so true. Because yes, nothing beats working hard. And I love that you mentioned that you didn't even really had the gamma in mind. You just worked hard for it. And
Yeah. I
the
wanted the income actually, to
yes,
be
and
honest.
that's that is our all of our aspirations, right? To reach an ideal income.
And just to add, for my second qualification, that's the time I worked on the matrices na. Just to put some value with, because I realized, oh my
Mm,
God, I am a Gamma awardee. So what do I do next? So, oh, you have to
yes.
requalify. Okay. So I studied a bit. So there are qualifications. So I from working hard on my first GAMA qualification, then I shifted a little bit to working smarter.
Okay, smart, yes.
Yeah, for
Oh,
me to
and
realize that okay, I have to maintain and all. It's hard to maintain, huh? Yeah, so
yes,
that's
it's not
you need
easy.
you need a little bit of stuff to do that you
Yes,
haven't done
but
before, so something like
mm,
that for you to maintain it.
I think, and yes, again, that's good that you mentioned that because on your first year of qualifying, you were actually after that you reevaluated that year, right? And so you knew what worked well, you knew what you needed to improve on, and therefore because you already qualified the first time, you now have this benchmark on what to do in order to replicate that success. And now you're being consistent about it, and I'm sure that you'll be able to maintain that for a long time, because you already know the formula, and then you can even pass that on to any of your advisors who wish to become unit managers, right? And well, I guess part of that, the things that you've done right and the things that you can improve on, like what are currently the best practices that you and your team are doing?
Okay, okay, let's do the best practices. Actually, to be honest, this is still a struggle with me. When you come from pandemic, where everything
Yes.
was different, and then you are now, it's not forced, but you are highly encouraged to really go back to the new normal, because that the new again, for me, the pandemic was a showstopper. Although I thrived well in the pandemic, I am a bit not scared, but I'm a bit like in, how do I say this? I am having second thoughts that what if will my strategy during pandemic
Mm,
be,
mm,
be still will still work during this
mm,
time? So I am at
mm,
that stage
mm.
that I really need to reconfigure and recalibrate actually a lot of things, because
Yes.
it again, the pandemic just happened for the first time, so there is no basis, no concrete basis if the things that we did would actually work after. So in terms of the best practices, I would to the unit managers listening, I would really want to encourage them to build a culture. What kind of culture? It will depend on again, to each unit manager, to the type of team that they want to build, or the type of people that they want to work with. So
Right.
second is the people you are going to work with. If you are trying to work with someone who you do not, yeah, that would create conflict. I would really say that early on, cut that. Give that
Mm,
person the benefit of not having the stress anymore.
mm.
Because I always believe that if you are always in conflict with someone, it will just bring chaos, and it will not bring anything good to the team. That's the second advice that I could get. Third is, this is for me the most important thing. Always in your team, always be the first one to have that hope when things tend to get rough, when things tend to go not your way, and always be the last person also to lose that hope. You know
Right.
what I mean? To that, I always tell that to my fellow unit advisors, that do not, first and foremost, do not show your emotions too much when you are being agitated. Always choose understanding, because you
Right.
needed to be the first one. You are the captain of your own ship. You needed to be the first one to to lobby for anything, to cheer for anything, and at the same time you have to stretch yourself too thin and be the last one to say that okay, this is not gonna work. Let's give it up and let it go. You should be the last one, not in the middle, not the first one. So
Mm,
it's a hard job actually. It's a hard it Sales is still our skill, and
mm,
uh, it's hard. Sales is always hard. It may just look easy, but it's very hard. But for me, the hardest is actually the emotional attachment that you have to give into the
mm,
job, because this is, for me, this is really an emotional job.
right.
Especially if you're handling 35 people, that's 35 unique different souls with
Yes.
unique emotional imbalances, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is no one correlated solution to a problem that exists in one, because the other one might be too emotional, the other one might be too naive.
Yes.
So I'm not scaring the unit managers, especially the new ones, but you really have to practice patience. You really need to have to stretch your not just your emotions, but your understanding and the psychology behind even your mental health. You have to stretch that as much as you can, because again, you have to be the first one to bring hope and the last one to lose hope.
Right.
Yes, that's it. That's just about it.
Oh, and I get what you mean with regards to it's a emotionally difficult job. It's an emotionally difficult career, because I actually applaud managers every year, especially the effective managers, because it's like raising, in your case, raising 35 children. So I have two kids, and they are like worlds apart.
Yeah.
So one is very, like, she's in her emo stage right now. She seldom smiles, and then the other one is like the poster boy, is like the perfect child. So whenever I talk to this other to our son, it's different. How I communicate with my daughter is also different.
You have to be also very careful that you don't have to make, you should not make them feel that both are different. They have to be very equal.
Yes, and
You cannot make them feel that there is a special treatment for someone. Now I
that's true.
understand that. It's so hard, diba?
Yes, that's true. And imagine having to do that for 35 people, like changing how the way you communicate to each and every individual to suit their communication style, to how they feel at the moment, because each and every team member of yours has a baggage that you also need to take part of, right?
True.
So another person might be single, but they're supporting their family. Another one might be a parent or a solo parent, even, and this job is the only bread and butter that they have. So, and you have to hear those out and see what the solutions you can provide for each and every individual. And so that's why I applaud all managers who are effectively doing that and growing a thriving team. Now, because you did mention that it's very, it can be very taxing. But I guess because we don't want to scare future unit managers, like, what are the rewards of being, of becoming a unit manager?
Okay, so let me tell everyone, regardless if you're a unit manager or not, if you're in the life insurance industry or not, there is no work that is not taxing, and there is no work that is not emotionally and physically draining. And we all have to accept that, regardless of what industry you are. It's always to be hard work.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so for the millennials, and Gen Zs, I would understand that it's a bit of a challenge to really do accept the real world. When you
Yes,
go out there,
that's true.
it's not easy. It's not the way you thought the way you thought all along. So I think, going back to your question, the first thing that I would say love about this industry in general, not just a unit manager, is that the value of time. We don't have a time in, time out here. You get compensated according to hard work, not on the number of hours. That's why I also say that you can work hard, but at the same time, it's better if you work smart. Second is, if a lot of the industries have only started the work from home arrangement during COVID, but you knew before COVID we all already working from home. That's why I can always relate it to time. So if I wanted to go to a vacation, let's say in Boracay or wherever, I can still work
There, yeah.
as a unit manager, as an advisor. Just to share very quickly, I actually went on a Indochina Southeast Asian trip for 15 days, and I still was able to
Wow.
And the good and the magic there was that my advisors didn't know that I was outside the country because I tried to. I
Yeah.
mean, when you're in the industry with so many people, you just wanted to just like detach for a while and be alone. So I went there by myself. So that was actually one of the turning point that I wanted to really do this in the long run because I can do things and still keep it to myself
Mm-hmm.
without
Mm-hmm.
people knowing. And then of course, this may sound so much a cliche and this is overdone, but compensation wise, it you can really just a matter of hard work, and if you do your job well, if you work well, if you're able to, of course, with the blessings from above, you
Yes.
can actually really do. You can actually have a good life here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
three. I think that's the three. I don't wanna deal with the others anymore, but those three are the ones that keeps me going. I can
Right.
actually spend much time. Like for example, if I wanna go back to the province of my father and my mother, I just can just do it there and still be working as long as there's internet connection.
Yes. Yes.
So something
Uh,
like that.
yeah, that's the beauty of. I think that's owning your time. Owning your time, and at the same time earning your ideal income and maybe much more, right? And that's the beauty of it. And you're right, it doesn't just apply to unit managers in this industry, in the financial insurance industry. It also applies to financial advisors as well. It just depends on how hard you work and how smart you are at the how you work. And yes, blessings, of course. But finally, my last question before we end the podcast, Tofi, is what would you offer as an advice for individuals looking to um, become a unit manager, become a good unit manager, that is?
Oh, when um have okay, unit managers, okay, have the experience.
Mm,
Do not just test the waters without knowing if it's hot or cold. You can do that in other aspects of your life. That jump and when you that the whole saying that when you know that you're not unsure, that's the time you jump. It can
mm,
in other aspects of your life, but if you really want to when you have one if you want to have a really good start and strong start as a unit manager, have the experience. And what does that mean? Be a financial advisor for at least a year or two.
mm,
Know the ins and
yes.
out of the industry. I saw a lot of unit managers who didn't have any experience as a financial advisor fail because they didn't have the experience.
Yes.
Although, if you really wanted to do this without an experience, you can. Yes, you can. But you really have to double time learning the industry because we are talking about money, other people's money. And you need to be equipped with the technicalities and and the education and all the learnings to handle these. It's money, and money's really hot, and you know that. So, if number two, you also have to develop your leadership skills. You may be a leader from a different industry, but then again, as we summarize everything, it's an entirely different kind of leadership here in the financial and life insurance industry. So you have to accept that. You really have to accept that and work on that. Now it's not because it's different from when you're handling people who are salaried versus people that you have to like really, oh my god, please sell. Those are
Yes.
two opposite things. And I think another thing is have the courage to say that this will be the industry that you wanted to be. Because
Mm,
if you have an option B and option C, I would say that I'll just give you 3 months. If you want to be part of this, then be sure, 100% sure that you wanted to be part of this. Get experience, um, learn from mistakes, accept failures, and then when you think you are ready, then be the best unit manager.
yes.
Leadership skills, but quite different from the corporate. That's something.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
it. That's it.
Because yes, yeah, you mentioned that because in the corporate, all you need to do is just make sure that the the people that are under you stay in the company, right? But as you mentioned, in this industry, it's different because you have to really come to terms with people leaving. So you have to adjust a bit to, I guess what you're saying is to support those who wish to stay, and make sure that they grow with you. All right, thank you so much, Tofi. I genuinely learned so much
I
here.
had fun.
Yes, it was a very interesting conversation.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, you're welcome. And I hope that a lot of unit managers, even the ones who are already in the industry for like quite some time, can also learn from this conversation. So, yeah, I hope that this conversation helps a lot. And yeah, for now, it's goodbye, but just for temporary. Hopefully, we'll have more episodes with Sir Tofi in the
Yes,
future.
of course. I'd be very
Right.
glad to join you again. I had fun,
Okay.
huh?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Me too, likewise. So, thank you so much for jumping in, Sir Tofi. Have a good one.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.